Today we're drinking beer because it's Wednesday. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Phosphoros show, the show that I said I would do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, much to the detriment of my own personal health and sanity, but that is that's fine. I'm here, we're doing it, so let's get started. That's good beer. Whoa. So, going back a little bit to last time, there's this idea that our beliefs are subconsciously held constructions of what the world is, how things fit together, and the narratives that we tell ourselves every day, whether we're aware of it or not. These have a major impact on what we experience, the choices that we make, and the range of possibilities that we have access to in our lives. And this is something that we can see across all kinds of different disciplines, just like from the idea that you're more likely to notice something if you have trained yourself to notice it, to these ideas of like archetypal Jungian psychology, down to the mystical and occult sciences. There's this common thread that the contents of your consciousness become the contents of your reality. It's kind of like a system. Is what you put into it is what you get out. So with this concept in mind, there's this idea that if you are looking for something everywhere, if you're expecting it, you're going to get more of it. Take the concept of a hypochondriac. It's someone who always expects, someone who's constantly expects that they're sick. They're looking for ways in which they might be sick, and can often present symptoms even if they don't actually have had exposure to any sort of disease. It's kind of this negative placebo effect that we create with our own thoughts and with our beliefs. And it might not even be such an extreme example, because I think this is something we all do in different ways to differing extents, and it doesn't have to be strictly negative or positive. And I think it is something that when we get down into it, when we start to think of our beliefs, as we talked about in the last episode, not as these solid things, but as tools to be worked with to help us better understand and work within the world. Once we're able to do that, when we're able to do that, we're change the narrative by which we live our lives, and not only change the experience that we're having, but actually change some of what happens to us. And that's where the magic happens. Is we can't act on opportunities unless we're looking for them, and we can't respond to threats unless we're aware of them, unless we've made our consciousness aware of it. But this narrative that we create, the stories that we tell, weave together the fabric of our lives, and ultimately the sum of them from all of us together create what's known as consensus reality in this greater ecosystem of possibility that we live in. Now, there is a concept that I was introduced to on an episode of the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, where Duncan is talking to his friend Daniele Bolelli, I believe, and they circle around to this concept of pronoia. It's kind of the inverse of paranoia. And instead of, you're finding things to be afraid of in everything, right? It's the opposite of that. So it's this narrative, and instead of fear, it's joy, empowerment, connection, all of these things. We recognize we still recognize the things that are going on in the world that we want to change. We still recognize the suffering, but now we have this narrative that it's not just us, we're not just isolated and alone. Even this idea that the world itself is aware of this and is consciously influencing things in order to correct it and make things better, and that we are connected to an invisible network of beings all over the world, and that we're being sent signals and instructions, and we're giving all the information we need if we just look for it and act on it, that we can change the world and we can do anything. It's that kind of story, and it's a matter of repeating it over and over, living in this frame of mind. Now, a big caveat here is that this is not a matter of being a true believer. So they say, like we talked about last time, if you go too far in that direction, you can kind of get lost in this sort of solipsistic mumbo jumbo. Like, since you're consciously choosing to direct your belief, to direct your state of mind in this way, it's important to remember that that's what you're doing. And now, not all the time, because in order to actually experience the pronoia, to be in that state, instead of becoming a true believer and wholeheartedly accepting this narrative, we have to adopt a suspension of disbelief. What this suspension of disbelief allows us to do is to get invested in this story that we're telling, and to really feel it, to feel that it's true. And then there are moments when you can step back and you can evaluate and say, this is the story I've been telling. Is this really the best story that I could be telling? Continuing to revisit it. And through that, we're able to get into these deeper states of pronoia, and opportunities will just start to come. If they were just there waiting for us, or if it was actually what we were doing with this procedure, part of what has allowed them to arise in the first place, is another matter. But the important thing is you'll start to notice, these strings are coming together, things are coming true. You can change the world, you can accomplish your dreams. You're being supported and guided, and there are people who are also trying to do something along the same vein, and you will be brought together and each allowed to accomplish more than you would otherwise for sake of it, because we really are so much stronger when we work together. And building this new narrative to one where we're not just limited by what we can do ourselves, but we're actually part of something greater, and that's something that we freely choose to do and are empowered by that choice. I think that is the best kind of pronoia. It makes our lives better. It unites us as a community, and it gives us control over the story that we're telling ourselves. And over time, a certain resonance and a beat starts to develop, and as the story grows more compelling, the effects on our lives do as well. So, what story are you trying to tell? Are you connected to a secret underground network of occultist revolutionaries? It's hard to step out of the box, because I am kind of like deeply woven myself into this narrative that I find quite compelling. And that's the fun thing too, is you start to relate to people in new ways, because you can kind of see the thread that they're weaving, and you can kind of relate that back to what you're doing, and you can each come to a new understanding. And that's what I'm trying to do here with those videos. So what are you trying to do with your story? How do you get in the zone? How do you get in your pronoid flow? I want to know. Let me down below. Oh! Hey. Whew. That is all for Phosphoros this time. Leave me a like and subscribe down below for more. We're just getting going, but we're really getting going, you know what I mean? If you love what we do here and want to invest in this project and really come along with us for the journey, check us out on Patreon. We're going to have more and more stuff coming, and I look forward to spending every moment up with you. Got really exciting stuff down the pipeline, but that is all I am going to say about that right now. I will talk to you very soon. This has been Phosphoros. Take care. Love ya. See you soon. Bye.